Hello and welcome to everyone. Today our guest is MMA fighter Westin Wilson. Westin, congrats on your victory. And got to say, it was a pretty much decent fight. Pretty much enjoyed looking at it on the MMA host channel. So what can you say about your recent win, and what do you think about your performance? Are you pleased with your performance in the last fight? Do you have some upcoming plans?
Yeah, the performance couldn't have gotten any better. I got to display, my striking. I got to display my jiu-jitsu and grappling, and I got it all done in 90 seconds. You can't quite argue with those results.
What is the victory in? Well, in my state, we like to say, what is the secret in gone in 90 seconds, if you understand the question?
What was the secret?
Yeah.
I think it was just experience. I've been under the big lights. I've been in big arena shows. I don't think he had. So I think he was a little when everything he acted tough and everything like that. But I think when everything was all said and done, I think the big lights kind of scared him, and he overcommitted on a couple shots and missed, and I capitalized, and I've got a really long reach, and so I was able to hit him and not be hit, and then he went down.
What is your secret of staying calm under very huge pressure?
I've been somewhat inconsistent with that. I've had big moments where, I was winning a fight and then had negative thoughts come through my head and ended up losing the fight. But I've also been doing this for a long time. I've recognized that mentally sometimes I haven't always been the best fighter mentally. I think physically, especially for the weight class, I think I'm, one of the best. I train with a lot of high-level guys, and I hang with everybody that I've ever trained with, and I'm talking several guys in the UFC, several top, 10, 15 pounders in their weight class in the world, and I can give them the hardest rounds of their life. But then when it comes time to perform, sometimes I don't do the best. And I've always struggled mentally with self-confidence and things like that. But with that being said, I am aware of it, and so I've worked with a lot of mental coaches and sports psychologists and things like that. And I've got a really great coach, Stephen Davini, and he's been, Coach Davini's helped me quite a bit. He's a wrestling mindset agent, and so we've been able to go through a lot of various things and work on things and just really find the fun in MMA and not just focus on the winning and losing. And that made all the difference as we just went out there to have fun on Friday, and we did just that.
Who are, you mentioned your coaches, who are your sparring partners?
Well, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is my main sparring partner. I'm with Coach Ray Thompson up in upstate karate in South Carolina. Also my teammate John Sweeney, who fought on the card. And then we always have guys come in from the UFC. Ryan Hall came in during this training camp for his own fight. A month before that, we had Chase Hooper in town. Chris Weidman comes in quite regularly and does a lot of his camps with us. So we've always got, guys, but then we've got a lot of guys that are amateurs that are, killers on the mat as well. I've got one of my main training partners' name is Blake Spence. He's a little bit smaller guy, but he's a world champion in point karate. And right now he's 4-0 in Muay Thai, and he's going to keep doing the kickboxing thing as he transitions out of point karate. And then eventually get into MMA, and him and his little brother Trent are both killers, some of the fastest hands you'll ever see. And so, when you're going with point fighters, they're the fastest of the fast. And if you can handle their speed, MMA is slow.
When did you start training MMA, and which was your first martial art?
So I started MMA when I was 16 in Brazil, and my first martial art was actually wrestling. That was my first love. People always think I'm a striker.
Me
But
too.
my first,
I
what?
was thinking you're a striker. I watched you 3 or 4 times, and every time you finish with the strike.
Yeah, so everybody thinks I'm a striker, but I'm actually my first love and passion was wrestling. And I've always every place I've ever been to, I always have coaches like, "Man, your wrestling's so good. Like, why don't you use it?" And I'm like, it's a break in case of emergency. Like, I use it when I need to, because I'll even go to the ground. I'll let people take me down just to do jujitsu off my back. Um, and which is what I did in Utah in May and completely, you know, wet the bed on that one. But yeah, wrestling was my first love. So that was my first martial art. Then went jujitsu, then Muay Thai, then boxing, and kickboxing. And honestly, I love karate. I do point karate on my free time with the Spence brothers, and they take me to tournaments. And so in between fights and fight camps, I've been competing in point karate and having a blast doing point karate. And it's adding a whole new element to my game.
Do you have a nickname?
I don't. I don't have a nickname. Wonderboy calls me every time on his YouTube channel when I do videos with him. He always says, I'm the man with the superhero name, Westin Wilson, but I don't have a nickname.
Very much fun. Do you have the favorite strike and the favorite BGG move?
Yeah. My favorite jiu-jitsu move where I will hunt it anywhere, for any position, is a guillotine. It's kind of what I'm known for in the jiu-jitsu community is my guillotine. And then for striking, I love front kicks, and I love, just a nice solid left hand, just a straight left. It's always been my favorite punch.
Do you remember your first professional MMA fight? How did it look? Were you nervous? Were you calm? I know it was a long time ago, but people usually don't forget their first fight, so.
Yeah, it's my first pro fight was in a small hockey arena, um, and I was fighting a kid named Anthony Pagliario, and it's at 135 pounds. The guy comes out to glove touch, and instead of glove touching, he tried to just punch me. So he pretended like he was gonna glove punch me, and then or not glove touch, and then he went out and tried to punch me in the face instead. And I remember I slipped it, I hit him, and then my coach yelled elbows, and I elbowed him until he tapped out. So I got my first submission was submission to strikes.
That's excellent. Do you remember your first professional loss? I believe it was LJ Schultz, right?
Yeah, LJ Schultz. It's kind of a BS decision in my opinion. I outlanded him 3 strikes to 1. If you go back and watch that fight, I put him in the hospital, broken wrist and broken foot, I believe. And so it was just some BS judges, and we even had judges like say on social media that they thought his 1 punch was better than my 3, and it turns out the guy was his training partner. All this like inside cooking BS. I've since tried to get that fight back and asked LJ Schultz to fight me several times, but he's just kind of a wuss and doesn't want to fight against me because I'll put him in the hospital again. But this time I wouldn't go to a judge's scorecard. I'm a lot stronger and confident and better all around than he is. So he can have that win, but if he ever fought me again, it would not be close.
What can you say about your Bellator debut?
That was a great night. That was like the first time I got a lot of like national exposure and everything like that. And we were originally supposed to fight some kid named Gaston Rieno, who was like some big name in Uruguay. But he backed out like a wuss, like a lot of guys have done against me, and claimed he was injured. Like everybody tries to, do whenever they want to get out of a fight, but then posted pictures of him training the day of the fight. So I was like, come on. So we fought LJ Hermrich, which, dude took it on a 5-day notice or 6-day notice, something like that. So all respect to him for stepping up. But yeah, I was super nervous. It's the first time I had my dad involved in the fight camp. He was like in the hotel room with us and hanging out with us. The only thing he didn't do was stay in the corner. But I was super nervous for that fight. And then my dad was like talking about, he's a DEA agent, so he's talking about his first time busting drug dealers and everything, and their guns loaded and all that, ready to go. And I was thinking to myself, like, whoa, that is way more intense than a fist fight. So then I went out and I was like, whatever, I'm just in a fist fight. My dad's out there, slinging guns and getting ready to shoot bullets and stuff like that. And I'm just, afraid of getting hit in the face. So when I got out there, I got in the cage, everything was really calm. Everything was really cool. And one of the coolest things about it was Chael Sonnen saying that, I had this Anderson Silva-like confidence in the cage, which was really kind of a cool compliment for me because growing up in Brazil, Anderson was always like one of the guys I looked up to, and I trained at Brazilian top team. He was at Brazilian top team. So, and my Muay Thai coach ended up coaching him for a couple of fights as well. So it was kind of cool to get that validation.
What do you think about LFA as a promotion?
LFA? Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't really care for them that much. They've done me dirty a couple times, and they'll say otherwise on their perspective. But I think it's great. They're great at developing the talent they want to develop. So it's good for them for developing talent. What they did with Pat Miletich, I think, was kind of dirty. Pat going and supporting Donald Trump at the thing, and then they firing him after that. I think that was kind of dumb. I don't think MMA promotions should get involved in politics and take a stance against anybody for expressing their political views. I think it's silly. So I have a lot of respect lost for LFA for that.
Who was, according to your thoughts, the toughest opponent you've ever met, and why?
Honestly, like out of all my losses, I really feel like I lost to myself and not my opponent, but the person I'll give respect to is Andrew Tennyson. I beat the brakes off of him for the better part of 4 minutes, and then he reversed it and caught me with that gogoplata in 30 seconds. I beat him bad. Like, his eye was all busted up, and I outstruck him, outgrappled him, and then, he caught me with that submission and stayed strong. Most guys that I get that type of start against don't last, and he lasted. So good on him. That showed a lot of toughness. He hasn't fought since me, and I would like to get that one back, but I don't know. I think he prefers to coach more, and all respect to him.
According to your thoughts, what is the best way to sleep out of gogoplata as the martial artist?
As a get out of a gogoplata?
Yeah. According to you, what is the first thing you would say to your student when he's squatting gogoplata? According to you, what would you say if you were a coach? How to sleep out of it?
His setup was super slick. He reversed me and got into mount, and normally I don't get caught in mount. Guys don't really do much to me when I'm in mount or when I'm mounted. But he set it up. He got me to kind of move to my side, and then move to my other side, which allowed him to slip that across my neck. What I really needed to do was he locked up my arm, which was nice, but normally you got to kind of grab that foot, and you can control the foot that's over your shoulder. But since he had this arm locked up and tied up, I couldn't, grab that foot. But generally you kind of grab that foot, you pull down, you look away, and you can get out. Or you can kind of put your weight down on the shoulder that the foot is over. You can kind of put your weight down on that side and get it free. I've since worked gogoplata defense a ton because I will never get caught in that again.
Which is the best stoppage of your career? If you could rate all your stoppages from 1 to 10, which one would be 10 in your mind?
My second fight was really tough because I had appendicitis. I went to the hospital right after the fight, got my appendix removed. Um, and I thought, I just thought it was the flu. I knocked him out cold with a knee. I dropped him in the second round. And then the ref looked at me, looked at him, and then told me to keep going. So I punched him 3 more times unanswered. And then finally the ref stopped it. So that was kind of cool because that was one of those moments where it was like, man, I can do this. I was at death's door and still won a fight by knockout. And then I got 2 walk-off KOs with, just 2 pull-Fs. I love those ones. My first guillotine finish against Javier Garcia, and he's had some success recently as well, where I up-kicked him, shattered his nose, and then put him to sleep with a guillotine. Those are all cool. I mean, most guys, I don't get them to tap. They go to sleep. So you're either going to sleep by my fist or you're going to sleep by my squeeze, one of the two. Anytime I get to put a guy out unconscious is fun to me.
How would you describe your fighting style in your own words?
It's different because I do different things based on different opponents and different scenarios. I still have that, karate base from Coach T, and I'll fight that way, but I also fight, very boxer, pressure heavy if I need to. And I don't mind fighting off my back, like a traditional jiu-jitsu artist as well. But I'm awkward. I'm long. I can switch stances. I have very awkward timing. So my style is very awkward. It's unpredictable. And I can hit you with any limb, whether it be, lead leg hit kick, round kick, front. And I can strike from very, very far out. Without people realizing it. So I would say it's like a more awkward version of Wonderboy. It's not as refined as Wonderboy either. So
yeah, please. Yeah, go ahead. I didn't hear you. Go ahead, please.
It's more awkward style and less refined than Wonderboy. So it's kind of like Wonderboy, but a little bit more awkward and less refined. Wonderboy is a master and puts on masterful performances, and I am more of I'm just going to throw paint all over the wall and hope something lands.
Yeah, sounds pretty much great. What do you think? Which are the greatest vulnerabilities of karate stance in MMA?
Vulnerabilities?
Yes. Problems which are the greatest problems karate guy is going to face due to his stance in the UFC?
It's interesting, I think karate guys are a lot faster, and they're masters at dictating distance and range, right? Raymond Daniels, MVP, Wonderboy, 3 of the greatest examples of people who can fight at any distance, and they're great at controlling that distance. The biggest knock has always been taking leg kicks, right? Taking leg kicks is always the biggest knock, but because they have a more bladed stance, they're actually hard to take down, and it makes it harder for them to get the takedown. But the clinch, I find a lot of karate guys are pretty susceptible to the clinch as well. And if you can get inside that range and hold them and dictate them, those are probably the biggest vulnerabilities. But I think guys who have a solid karate background are still super, super tough to deal with. Especially karate guys. You have 2 different types of karate styles, right? You got the in and outs, like Lyoto Machida was very much an in and out type of guy. And then you got guys who are really good at lateral movement, like MVP and Wonderboy. And then you got guys like Raymond Daniels who can basically split half the cage in one strike, which is, I trained with Raymond back in the day as well, and his speed is on another level.
That is really, really outstanding. Do you have some plans for the future? Who could be the next guy in your sights, for the next upcoming fight maybe?
So I'm scheduled to fight August 28th in Utah. I'm waiting for the opponent to sign the contract and for them to make that announcement. But yeah, we're scheduled for August 28th in Salt Lake City, Utah. So I'm just going to stay super busy, super active, and just keep knocking guys down until I get a call from the UFC. So hopefully short notice, somebody falls through, UFC needs somebody, and I can step up and take that fight either at 45 or 55.
You are the member of a pretty much new promotion, so your last fight. The promotion is pretty much new, but fights are on a very much elite level. What makes the promotion so good, considering they had only 2 events as of now?
You know, XMA was awesome. They treated all the fighters really, really well. The pay was really, really good. They, did everything right production-wise. They spent a ton of money on production, or I don't know if they spent money on it, but they had really great production. And they're bringing in, big names in these local areas, which generates a lot of national attention. And then they put up the show for free online so anybody could watch it, which, brings in more eyeballs and everything else. And they had good sponsors and everybody there treated all the fighters with a lot of respect. I mean, after the fight, everybody from the production staff to the promoter to, the owners, they all came up and congratulated me and take pictures with me and things like that. And they really just kind of treat everybody like they're somebody, and that's really what fighters want, is just that recognition and care, like you're somebody, not just a piece of meat fighting in a cage, like some other promotions do.
Would you like to greet somebody, to send a shout out to somebody, or would you like to mention something we forgot to say in the interview?
Just everybody who's helped me get to this point in my career. I'm coming up on 10 years of fighting. From, actually, no, it was 2012 was when I first fought. So I'm 9 years in the sport of actually competing. And there's been so many people, so many people have helped me get to this point. And both the doubters, who doubted me, to the people who stuck by me and believed in me since day one. I've had so many people stick by me, and it's just been awesome. It's such a great ride, and all the friendships and bonds and brotherhoods that I've made throughout this journey has been fantastic.
Thank you so much for the interview. I'll put the video to creation now. Hope to post it tomorrow, like midday tomorrow. You can expect it your time.
Okay, great.
All right. Thank you so much, Westin. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Thank you.